All right. Hi, everybody, and welcome to this episode of the Lumos Lens. My name is Rich Katz. I am the superintendent in residence with Lumos Learning. Today, our guest is Trish Baggett. She is the principal at Richfield Early Learning Center in Flint, Michigan. Trish, thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. If you don't mind, just kind of kick off with maybe just a 30-second introduction and tell us about yourself.
Sure. As you said, my name's Trish Baggett. I am the principal of Richfield Early Learning Center, which is part of Richfield Public School Academy. We service grades pre-K through eighth grade. We have two buildings. So the one building is the Early Learning Center where I'm at, and then we have another building we call it the Center Road Building. I've been in education for over 20 years now. I started out right from teaching preschool for Head Start, moved up, into teaching kindergarten and teaching young fives. I taught first grade for a lot of my career and then jumped to sixth grade. I then ended up being a curriculum director, which I adored, and then an instructional coach, which I really enjoyed. I was an assistant principal for 2 years, and now I'm the principal at Richfield. So I've had quite the journey. I've been to a lot of different districts in my career. It took me a while to figure out exactly where I could find where my values and morals landed with a specific school. And so that was something that was really important to me. I do believe that I have found my finally forever home at Richfield.
That's great.
Their morals, their values, everything is so much more in line with what I'm looking for and what I want to project out into the world. So.
Mhm. That's awesome. Congrats on first year as principal. That's really cool too.
Yeah.
But what led you, talk a little bit about, go back to the beginning. Like, how did you even get into education and then the connection with early childhood? Obviously, you said you had 1 year in sixth grade, which was a little bit totally different, obviously, but you clearly
Completely.
had
Yes.
yep. I was actually mostly in middle school when I was teaching.
Okay.
But I did a year of preschool, so I was the opposite. But tell me a
Okay.
little bit about the path and, what led you in education and why the love for early childhood.
So I am one of seven. I have six siblings. I have one that has passed away, but I'm smack dab in the middle. So I have two older brothers, two younger brothers, an older sister, and a younger sister. And so all my life, I've kind of been a caregiver per se, but also had to be very loud because I needed to be heard. So I always was told I had leadership skills in school, which we all know that just means I was a chatty Cathy. But I I went into early childhood knowing I wanted to be a teacher. I've always wanted to be a teacher. It was something I played school with my siblings, and the littles were just my love. When I went to school, when I graduated high school, I knew I wanted to do young kids. I remember thinking when I was in elementary that I want to teach second grade because they give letter grades. But I found that the younger ones, birth through third grade, is what I specialize in, are truly my heart. There's something so innocent, and when I went into the profession, had those big hopes and dreams. I'm going to change the world. And I feel like I have one student at a time, one child at a time, and to nurture the whole child was something I really fell in love with. So I studied all the way through early childhood. Like I said, I specialize in that aspect. But then when I taught sixth grade, I did realize it's not the child is not different. It's the way you execute is much different.
Right.
And I'm not big as a big sarcastic type of person, and the sixth graders definitely tried that. So
Yeah.
knowing that early childhood is definitely my home.
Yeah, that's so true. And you're right. I mean, even when you're with, they may be bigger physically, but they're still kids,
They are.
regardless of the age. But, and I'm interested in kind of something you said in your intro there about you found the right match in the school that you're at now with yourself. And,
Yes.
I understand that having moved school districts before and, um, just always looking for that place where the philosophy matched mine.
Yes.
So what is it about where you are that makes you feel right? What are those things that kind of jump out to you?
So with Richfield, you find out when you especially enter administration, all of the politics, right? All of the different things that parents might not see, that the community might not see. And I found with Richfield, we're a self-managed company, self-managed school. And with that, we truly get to make, as educators, all of the decisions for our district within our district. We don't have, a lot of oversight from business people who are trying to make sure, the money is going here, here, and there, and then sometimes in others' pockets. Whereas with some charters, they are for profit. Our charter school is not. We're a
Mhm.
public school, and we have that status to where we don't. It's all goes to the kids. So their values are teaching a whole child, not just the ABCs and one, two, threes. It's we want to make citizens, we want to make students who are contributing members of society. And we look at their social emotional status. We teach them in many different ways, not just sit down and take notes or sit on a computer or do those things that a lot of schools have to do now. We teach to the whole child, and that is very important. They need to know how, to write a check. They need to know how to have conflict resolution. And that's something that we really focus on because, again, in society, you need to know those things along with content knowledge.
Mhm. Yeah, and so many schools have those kinds of things in their mission statements and vision, but it doesn't
Mhm.
necessarily happen. So it sounds like it's actually
Exactly.
what you're saying you're going to do is what you actually do, which is really
It
terrific.
is.
So
It's
so
great. You
let's
can
kind of
walk
shift
into our
and
schools and see it. Sorry.
no, I cut you off. I'm
No.
sorry. But I wanted to shift and kind of talk more about that actually. So talk about, school leaders always have this phrase of like, we want to set students up for success. We want them to feel, every learner should feel ready to learn, ready to succeed. But what does that mean to you? And especially in an early childhood setting?
Mhm. It's not easy. It definitely isn't. You have students from all backgrounds. You have all economic statuses. You have students that have been to preschool or daycares, and then some that are coming in at first grade age. Um, our our thing, I think, which is really important that a lot of times is oversight, is we start with our staff. The phrase, if mama ain't happy, nobody's happy. We look at our staff. we we value them, and we make sure that they are taken care of as well. One of the you know smallest things you can do is make sure they get their planning time. Make sure that their time is valued. When we have staff meetings, we start on time and we end on time. We don't do pop up, oh, tomorrow we're going to have a staff meeting, sorry, it's in our contract, you have to do that. We respect them, and in turn they respect us, and that flows over into the classroom. And what we expect from our students is what we expect from our staff. And so then this way they can even model what we expect is what they expect. So we focus on the first 2 weeks of school. We use a social emotional learning curriculum that we do those first 2 weeks, and that's what we focus on. Our classrooms are families, yet there are rules, routines, procedures, and those first 2 weeks are heavy, full of those things. We do things to make the students feel safe. We make sure our students are fed. no matter what the circumstances is. We have things like a backpack program with food that goes home to students every week. We do, this time of year, Angel Tree. And there's no, it's hard to explain, but there's no jealousy per se. Well, they're getting that and I'm not, or it's just part of our community. We have a lot of community
Mhm.
partners. We have people come and read to our students. We have um, parent events, and parents are the other part. You have to have them involved, because once they feel involved, then in turn the student goes home. They have a positive relationship with the school. The parents have a good positive relationship. They want to come, we want to be there, and it all entangles into this beautiful culture that we not just strive for but expect.
So, yeah, so you really have this we're all in this together kind of feeling. This is what it sounds
Yes,
like.
we are a
So if
family.
I were like a visitor walking in the school, yeah, that's great. And you're
Uh-huh.
telling me about it. But so like say I just kind of walked in the school as a visitor, like what would I see to know that
Yes.
what you are telling me is true?
So in both of our buildings, I can even speak for the other building as well. When you walk in, we have our secretaries. They are kind, caring. They are right there, not just on a phone or anything. They come up to you, they greet you. At my building, our secretary even opens the door for you when you come in. My office is right there. My door is always open. I'll come out and greet whomever it is, because I want them to feel welcome, see who they need, and we immediately get whomever it is. We make everybody feel safe, because we do have the security protocols in place. You walk in and you sign in and you get a badge, so that every teacher knows you're supposed to be here. So you don't get stopped and like, what are you doing here? Why are you here? If you don't have a badge on, you will.
Mhm.
But
It's a good
we
thing.
have, it is. And I think that has a lot to do with people's comfort. This day and age, unfortunately, you have to feel a certain way. Our students are always happy. Our staff is happy. Without even asking them, they greet anybody that walks in. If parents come in and want to talk to me, you don't have to have an appointment. We know that parents have a busy schedule. Anybody that comes in and wants to do something, as long as I'm not, on a podcast or in a training, they come right on into my office, and I can talk with them and see what their needs are. We have our board. Our board members just come on in, and they come in, they do the same thing and walk around, all the way down to our kitchen staff. Our kitchen staff is so friendly. Their door to the kitchen is always open. And people peek in and they just greet them and say, hey, it's a welcoming, opening, come on in, let us show you who we are type of place. So when you walk in, you feel that. Um, our office is slightly decorated for different things, calm tones. It's amazing the little things that you can think of, that make a difference just when you walk in, like posters and um, different decor. It's welcoming.
Yeah. One of the words that's kind of coming to mind as I'm listening to you talk is that it sounds like people feel very empowered. And I think that's a reflection of leadership that you've kind of built this, it's not a top down approach. Like you've built this sense of, you used the word family and community where everybody feels like they're a part of what you're doing and that they matter in what you're doing. And, that's often hard to sustain though. What kind of strategies do you use? So it's not just I'm
Yes.
telling you this message, but you're really sustaining this culture over time and keeping it going. It's hard in the
It
day to
takes
day grind.
it takes time. It takes a lot of background work. So like we do staff events. We had a bonfire where all of the staff came over to our ELC. We have an incredible campus that is just, it's beautiful. So in the backyard we have a fire pit, and so we had all staff just come out. We had fire pit. We did hot dogs, burgers, all of that. We have a mentoring program
Hmm.
that I actually run, and it's not, I don't have set things. Okay, we're going to learn this, and this. It's, what do you need? What is something you'd like us to talk about? Like you said, that empowerment, we have to let them feel. So in turn, it's the same thing with our students. We use PBIS, which is positive behavior intervention support throughout both buildings. And we have things like a leader cart. Once a week, every classroom nominates someone for leader of the week. I come around with a card of goodies that person gets to choose, but they also get a certificate. I take their picture. Another thing you'll see when you walk into our schools is we have TVs up, and we have PowerPoints of the students, of things the students are doing, of work they've done throughout the week. And then we have our leaders of the week. And it has their name and tells us why they were seen as that leader. And it's a lot of work to keep these little things up. We have a staff member of the week as well. And we have a staff member
Mhm.
for each wing, or so, whatever you want to call it, from K2 to 3-5 and 6-8. Their picture is up on that screen. In my building, we have 3 screens that are constantly going with these, accomplishments, these positive things that we make, so that the kids want to come, they want to be there. Another thing that we use that I think has really positively impacted our culture is restorative justice. Um, Restorative
Mhm.
justice is where, yes, we've made mistakes, and we do it with the staff as well. Like it's a way of building a community. It's not just for students, but if no matter what it is, big, small, we do restorative justice, and it's where we talk to the students after they have calmed down or in a place that they feel safe to talk. And we talk it out to figure out, okay, what happened? Why did it happen? How could we change it? Can we do in the future? So it's not like oh my gosh, I got you. This is it. This is your consequence. That's it. Um, that is something that we have worked on for years in our district. And I think we're seeing a lot of the benefits of it now. But the thing with that is, once you feel like it's there, you have to continuously do it, because the second you slack, then it all falls apart, because we have new students every
Mhm.
year. We have situations, you know. 5 years ago, there are some situations we would have never had. So it's the consistency of these things.
Yeah, that's a great word. I mean, not just with restorative justice, but everything you're describing. You have to be
Mhm.
consistent. You have to follow through with it, and it sounds like you do, and you have a great foundation where everybody's kind of takes ownership and is ready to go. And kind of jumping back to where we started with that, supporting every student, making sure they're prepared for success. Talk a little bit about what role data plays in shaping your
Mhm.
school's culture and helping every child
Mhm.
grow, not just academically, of course that too,
Yeah,
but developmentally,
right.
emotionally. What is that role of data for you?
Um, Data is, what points us in the directions we need to go, right? If we just went by feelings, I mean, we'd be singing songs and singing by all in the hallways, but without the data to prove, what is working, what is not. We do for our teachers, we do climate and culture surveys. They're completely anonymous. From the years,
Mm-hmm.
they've become more and more, they feel more and more secure that it is anonymous, so they can be honest. In grades 3 through 8, the students even take the climate and culture survey, so they can feel that. But, we're in school, our number one job is to keep them safe, but our second job is to teach them. So we use data from a lot of different platforms. We use NWEA data a lot. And what we've done is, when we look at our NWEA data, our DRA data, academic data, we are grouping our students now more. We know that there's a big difference between, students now, especially since, COVID and different things. And so what we've done as a district, if we have used that data to put students in groups, and they are taught at the levels that they're at. So we still teach grade level content. That is something that, obviously needs to be done and is done every day in every subject. But we have found time now
Mm-hmm.
that we use our data every day to see what needs are specific for each student. This way, in turn, when they're being taught where they're at, they're feeling successful. Because when you teach them where they're at, they're learning things, they're feeling successful, they're feeling empowered. And we do little things like data walls. But they're interactive. They're not just data walls that we put up on the wall. The students own them. They know what they are. Each classroom has autonomy to choose what type of data they'd like the students to track. And they love taking that sticker and putting it up there or moving it up. Seeing is believing. They get to see themselves. And then if a student isn't moving or isn't doing that, we work with them. We have instructional aides. They'll come in. They look again at the data to see who's struggling even a little bit more. They work with that student. And if they have to, they make their own data chart for that specific thing, because we want our students to feel successful no matter where they are. That's the important part. As long as we see growth, that's what matters. In the end, are you growing from where you're at? And by using those
Mhm.
visuals, especially with early childhood, it's huge. Numbers to them, yes, they know numbers. They know, yep, I got such and such number. It's higher than the other one. But to see it on a wall or in a poster or even in a notebook of their own, they take ownership of it. So we do a lot of those
All
types
right.
of
And how do you
things.
relieve stress? Yeah, I'm sorry. How do you relieve stress for them, where
Yes.
they're feeling the pressure of all these local assessments that we have, and even the older
Mhm.
students with state tests. So, how do
Yes.
you make them kind of give them the feeling that you're describing, but still
Yes.
being driven and not being discouraged?
It's man, that's the truth, right? The stress in our students, the stress on teachers, the stress on life is
Yeah.
huge. Every one of our classrooms have a calming corner. They might call it something else. We always just refer to you have a calming corner or a spot where they can go when they are overwhelmed. A place they can go individually where they can be by themselves. They have fidgets over there. They might have a bean bag, because we all get stressed at different points in time. We all have those, overwhelming feelings that they need. So that's something that they do, and that each student knows, no matter what classroom they're in, they have that safe space. There's no judgment. Have we had students abuse it? Absolutely. Nothing works perfectly, but when that happens, again, we deal with it as a one-on-one basis. Um, in our classrooms, especially in the early childhood building, in my building, we do things called brain breaks, right? We know
Yep.
that attention spans are shorter. They've become shorter over time, over the years. And so we put these brain breaks into place. Some of our staff does yoga. They'll do a couple yoga moves right in the middle of a lesson. The kids get up, they push in their chairs, and they do it to help calm themselves. I have a favorite one. Technology these days are so different from when I began to teach, or from when I was in school. There wasn't any, but um, even on some platforms, you can find like you type in calming videos, right? And a
Yeah.
video comes on the screen with
Hmm.
bubbles. And it tells you follow the red bubble, and the kids, you see their heads going like this, and they're moving around, and it's great. I think the teachers need it more sometimes than the students, but it gives
Yeah,
them.
I'm sure they use it too.
They do. I mean, and that's not frowned upon. If I come in for an observation
Yeah.
and they're doing that, I'm happy. Like, good.
Hmm.
You're reading yourself, you're reading your students. School is hard. School is long. School is stressful. Um, and we've got to use those things. We don't take away recess. Um, we do other types of things for, consequences or whatnot, because all students, they need that air. They need to run. They need to get it out. Um, so recess is not something they're allowed to take. We do lunch detentions. We do other types
Hmm.
of consequences in place. But if that fresh air is it, it can't be, it can't, nothing else can do what it can do. So we make sure that the students and the teachers have those breaks. Each classroom, they have a special every day, a 30-minute special that's either music, gym, or art. And for those 30 minutes, we have a certified teacher, come in to teach that content area. So the kids at the 3 through 8, they actually get to leave their classrooms. In my building, we have art and music in the classroom, which it's back and forth with, good or bad. I like it in the classroom because it lets them see their classroom in a different light as well. It's not just this place where you have to come in and all you do is learn, like they yell, teach, whatever. It's a multi-purpose place. It's not a, it's not a bad place. It's a good place. We do art projects, we do music, we do um, recess at times. It's a multi-purpose room. And so those things help, I feel, with their stress, with um, things. Yeah.
It's a lot, and it's all good. I mean, it's like such a toolbox that you give the students and the teachers to have at their disposal to be able to deal with anything that comes up, which is really awesome. Are there common themes that you find when you're looking at that data that you have that students are struggling with, that are kind of like, these are the things that kind of keep me up and we keep trying to solve and we can't figure them out? Like, what are those patterns that you're seeing now? And I know it's not unique to your school, whatever those are.
No, no. The one that really still, especially in early childhood, is the physical aggression. It's spiking a lot more. And it's the students are showing a lot more anger than we've seen in years past, 5, 6, 7 years ago. And it's heartbreaking. And it's something that it's not an easy fix. It's not like, oh, let's do this and this will fix it. Um, and so dealing with those are things that we are focusing on. We just now ended up getting a grant for Second Step. It's a social emotional curriculum that really focuses on their emotions and why they're feeling the way they are, because the students don't even know why they're feeling this way. And that's the hardest part.
Mhm.
You know, uh,
Yep.
they don't even know why they hit the kid or why they pushed them, or I wanted to be first in line. And the first thing they think of is I'm going to shove them out of the way. Um, and so it's hard when you're trying to teach a classroom full of students and you've got one or two that are just blatantly, pushing, hitting, all of those, things. And the all of the things we have in place, which are all good, it doesn't solve it. Um, in all
Mhm.
honesty, and anybody that says it does is, the data will prove it a little different. So our trend that we're seeing is a lot more physical aggression. And then our next one is defiance, where they're just flat out, nope, I'm not doing it. I don't want to. I'm not going to. And so because of that, we have found the Second Step program that a lot of other districts have implemented. I went to a couple schools to see it done, and see, talk with them about how it's changed or how it's worked. And a lot of it is it's helping the teachers have more strategies, helping them be able to
Right.
try and, have that student up next to them so they can feel them. A lot of it, is just that closeness, that touch, that you're okay. I know you might want this, but let's just sit here for a minute. You stand by me while I'm teaching. So it's a lot of those different strategies that we're trying to find which ones work for which students. And it's all
Yeah.
different.
Well, so much of what you're describing with behaviors, it is all trial and error. I mean, that's, and because first of all, no single strategy is going to work for every student. So you need to kind of figure
Never.
out, which works with each, and then just which ones are generally more effective. So yeah, there's always trial and error in that. But, I mean, that's where a lot of schools get stalled, is they identify the issues and then they don't really take the identification of these things to actually doing something about it. And it sounds
Mhm.
like, it sounds like you are. Are there other strategies you're implementing outside of that program?
We actually have, looked to our local ISD. They, a lot of times I feel like the ISDs are overlooked. They do have some great things. We have a trainer coming in for our district for 3 days, 3 different times, for our teachers, to help them with more, again, strategies for themselves to help the students. When we as adults feel like we don't know, or we have no idea, that those feelings in turn go to the kids, like they don't know, so neither do I, so I'm gonna act, even worse, or try something different. But when we have someone coming in from our ISD, she's actually an autistic specialist. However, the behaviors that we see, the different things we see, are not just to autistic students. We do have a few autistic students in our district, so it's going to definitely benefit. But the strategies and stuff, when I met with her, me and my superintendent sat and talked with her for over an hour. The beauty is she wanted to know about what our specific needs were, not just an overall, okay, here's our program, this is what we do, or this is our training. It was, she wanted to know how she could tailor the training to us. So we were very lucky to be able to have her come in, and that's going to start in January. And she's
Mhm.
going to do 3 days with us on helping our teachers try and support our students with those significant, not different, just more extreme behaviors, as a district. And we're all talking the same verbiage, right? We're going to have these students from kindergarten all the way through 8th grade, so to learn
Right.
together as a district sometimes I think is key.
Yeah. And that goes right back to what you said earlier about consistency.
Mm.
It's the same thing, and it applies here too. Definitely. When you think about all the efforts that we're talking about here, and it could be behavioral, but even academically, like what's a great success story that you can share, whether it's driven by the data, but also just that you can see students kind of showing up and engaging and learning in a different way. Talk a little bit about
Mhm.
some positivity coming out of all the work that you're doing.
Oh, I do have my one success story that I'm so excited about just this year. We have gotten to the point to where we have to implement behavior plans, and
Mhm.
my thought process always is, if a parent's going to work with us, I'm going to work with them. We're going to do everything in our power with that parent. But especially in early childhood, it's very hard to implement something if the parents aren't on board, because it's just when they're here then, and that's not what we need. But I have one specific student who was having those behaviors, hitting and pushing and just saying mean things to others. And I'd gotten phone calls from other parents, very concerned, very upset, because their students were coming home. And so when we do a behavior plan, everybody's involved, including the student, even at, a second grade level. They come in, we sit and we talk. It's not a short process. It's something that we've worked on for a while. And they are given explicit instructions. If you do this, this happens, and then this happens, and then there's the consequence, right? So they get 3 tries, and then we're at a point where we have to talk to the parents about, is this, the okay place for them? What other things can we do? Do we, keep suspending? Sort of thing. This young man came through, and we ended up at a behavior plan quite early on. It was very discouraging because it just, you know, well, we set things in place. We had some one-on-one help with him, because academically he wasn't performing either. When you have behavior issues, you're not usually performing academically. And
Mhm.
the parents, were appreciative of us coming in and sitting and talking, and they understood. But just last week, I got to call them and say he is off of his behavior plan. He worked with the instructional aide. He worked one-on-one with his teacher. I would have him in my office for restorative justice circles, for different things. And we had one instance that was we were there, but we explained how he had another chance. This is what's going to happen if you do it again, blah, all of that. And he's really turned it around to where we don't even have that contract in place anymore. I think, especially at my building, you have a behavior contract. It's not forever. If you can come out of it, you're going to come out of it. Everybody needs those chances. And he realized after having that huge meeting and sitting and talking, and his parents realized this is serious. Like, this is not, your everyday, he's just a boy. And he was able to come out of it. And just last week, I got to call his mom and we all celebrated. We made sure to make a big deal out of it. And we'll see, now what the future holds. But we're very excited.
Right. That's fantastic. And yeah, and there's nothing better than seeing them feeling successful. Like, the student feels like I was able to do this and I was able to make an improvement. I mean, that's kind of what it's all about. That's awesome. So talk a little bit. You mentioned families earlier, and you kind of mentioned families now too. Um, Talk a little bit about the role of families in supporting student achievement and success. How do you get them to be part of the process and not just attending an event, but not just being watchers, but really being actively engaged.
Um, uh, it's been difficult since COVID to get parents back in the building, and so these last 2 years have really tried to help make that a priority. So yes, we do have parent events once a month, but this year I also started having coffee with the principal. Once a month, I have a specific time where parents can come in and sit and they talk with me. I have a little agenda of of things I might want to go over. I always want to make sure that they go home with something. But if a parent comes in and wants to talk about something specific, that's what we talk about. So far, my numbers have been pretty low, but we just started it, right? This is not something that we've had before. So I'm hoping as time goes on, we'll get more and more parents to where they feel more comfortable, expressing their concerns or what they're happy about, or being a part of things. We've made plans to do guest readers. We want them to come in to the classrooms and read to their students. Another thing that we really try and do is, with good or negative behaviors, we ask the parents to come in. We want them to come into the classrooms with their student. We have an open door policy. We do ask that we know ahead of time, that they're coming, just so that the teacher can be prepared and not everybody's shocked. But we want them in classes with us. We
That's
have
great.
one parent that comes. Yeah. It's changed a lot, obviously. COVID years, nobody was allowed in. When we came back to school, nobody was allowed in the schools. We've gone past that point. Like, that is not, if they feel more comfortable wearing masks, wear them. If whatever, we just truly try and get them in the school. Now is the time for us to grow our community as well. And we have a lot of community partners that come in. So that in turn, I think, helps the parents feel like, okay, if they can come in, so can I. And then I started a monthly parent newsletter, from the principal, that has my email address, my phone number. I want them to feel comfortable coming to me, in turns going into the classrooms together. I've even sat in with a parent in the classroom, because they had questions, they had concerns, even about the teacher. I addressed those. Let's go in, let's see, show me, tell me, I can help, sort of thing. So getting them in the school is our priority.
Yeah. I love how proactive you are about just about everything we've talked about. I mean, honestly, it sounds like you're just an open communicator. You try to be proactive, ahead of things, include people. I mean, that would explain exactly why your school is functioning, the way that you're describing, and has that kind of culture that you're striving for. So that's awesome. Yeah, for sure.
Thank you.
Tell me, yeah, absolutely. Kind of wrap up with what's something you're excited about as you kind of look ahead, whether it's specific to your school or even just in early childhood education. Like, what's on the horizon and exciting to you?
You know, early childhood education has always kind of been pushed to the side at times. They think of it as the little kids, the little school. I hate it when they call us the little school. I'm like, we are not the little school. Um, I am excited this
You do
year
everything first
to
before anybody else gets to it.
right. Like we have to lay the foundation. And in turn that comes to academics. I feel that we are in a great place cultural wise. I feel like we've made leaps and bounds, making our students, parents, and teachers feel good. Now I'm excited to get all of that, because if you don't have the foundation, everything's going to crumble. And now turning that into our academic success. When our students feel empowered, I love that you pointed out that word, and our teachers feel empowered. I'm excited to see now where our test scores go. I'm excited to prove to everybody that, look, these kids, even though we're in the middle of Flint, even though we have, data showing physical aggression and defiance, they're still on the uprise. They're still growing. They're still combating all of these negative things that are happening outside of their school. In the school, we're being productive. We're learning. We're going to be contributing members of society, and we're going to show everybody that we're the best.
What more is there than that? That's awesome. I love it. Thanks so much, Trish. I really appreciate you joining me today. This was really interesting to hear about all the great things you're doing. And we were talking a little bit beforehand about all the challenges that exist in education today, and certainly not unique to your school. But it sounds like some of the things that you're trying, might be a little bit more progressive than other schools, because it sounds like you're definitely not afraid to be creative and take some risks to find what's going to work best for students. So that's awesome. But thank you
These
again
days,
for
you've got to
taking
think
the time to
outside of
join
the
me today.
box. Well, I appreciate you having me. I mean, this is a great opportunity. It helps get me excited even more, and then in turn take it back to my staff and my kids. They
Yep,
deserve. These kids deserve so much more than what we can offer. So we are going to give them everything we can, because they deserve it and more.
excellent. All right. Well, thanks everybody for listening too, and we'll see you next time.